In order. Roll call.
Vote.
Here.
Years. Here. Lux. Here. Lucero. Campbell. Here.
Okay, stand for the pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yes, she's
Maybe.
either gonna be late. Yep, she did.
We are to the agenda. It looks like we had a couple of items that needed to be added. Winter McMahon to be added under contract 164A, 165B, a thank you from Tom Credit, and then under 166F, a report from Derek Suxor. With that, we need a motion to approve the agenda with the changes.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda with the changes. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Do we have any waivers? I haven't seen in there.
Yeah.
Oh, we are waivers. Waiver authorization. Oh, we have any. Okay. Minutes were emailed out if there was any changes. Don't think there was, but if there is, we can let her know. If not, we need a motion to approve the minutes from April 8th, 2025.
Make a motion to approve the minutes from April 8th. A second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item is expenditures. We can pull anything out that you want to look at, but if not, we'd be looking for a motion to approve expenditures A through C.
Make a motion to approve expenditures A through C. Second.
Okay, motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item would be 163 financial statements. Again, we can pull anything out if you want to, but if not, we'd be looking for a motion to approve A through K.
Make a motion to approve financial statements A through K. Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. New business. So we're going to start with contract resignation list.
Okay. Go ahead and read down, if we don't have any certified substitutes to add, classified substitutes, we have Kevin Paul custodial, Amanda Wink custodial, Winter McMahon, what was it, custodial? Yeah, what did it say? Custodial and what else?
Okay, write it all down.
Okay,
Custodial, right?
all right.
Yes.
Okay, classified work agreement, Kenda Brandenberry, elementary food service. 2025 summer school assignments, Kelly Bashan, Val Minahan, Betty Campbell, Jen Scott, Cecilia Litchfield, Sylvia Trentz, Dan Alisay, Rachel Van Bibber, and Brenda Cup. Resignations and retirements, Trev Fiedler, if you remember, he was the middle school CTE instructor that we hired, and then he unhired himself by taking a job in Moorcroft. Sam Grant, middle school assistant student council. Mandy Ranapaw, technology assistant, middle school librarian. Mandy is going to be our family consumer science teacher. Amanda Schreier, assistant fall drama coach, high school sped paraprofessional. She got a certified position with, I think Sturgis, right? Tim Hansen is retiring, high school social studies, boys and girls golf. Cody Brodsky, assistant high school football. Elena Wiseman, kindergarten. Bonnie LeCates, middle school assistant track. And Shelby Kruger-Wohler, middle school paraprofessional. Classified transfer, Tara Mao from elementary secretary to elementary food service. And then we've got a kind of a long list of admin contracts and teacher contracts. I guess we've already had a motion to offer those, but the salaries are published with this document. I think that I did everything then.
Do you have high school social studies?
Yeah, she's on there.
She has okay.
Yeah.
Where do I, oh, but did we have that as a certified,
She's on the
She's
certified
on the-
teacher list.
oh, on the certified teacher list, okay. And that's a new contract, yeah. Okay. Any others we might be missing?
I have one question. Is Bonnie retiring from track forever or is she?
Yeah.
Okay. Because she's on the, list later on down the road. But she's on the activities list.
Oh, is she?
Yeah. The extra duty.
Probably because that went out on Fridays.
Okay, so I just was confused on that. Anything, so that's a better question.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, Brianne Fort, was she on the summer school list? I didn't hear.
I think you just submitted stuff for Brenda Cup.
Oh, I thought I did.
Okay, so we need to add Brianne Hort
Yes.
on that. That approved.
And that's for summer school.
Yes.
Thanks, Dan.
Thanks, Dan.
So, I guess to make a motion with the additional changes,
Yep,
is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll make a motion with the additional changes. To the contract and resignation.
Or a second, I want to make sure, so.
You should second and then
Second.
call a question.
Okay,
So let's go ahead and second and then question.
okay, so you said that we have an employee who is on our list later on then for track,
No, she had bringing stuff, she is retiring.
right?
But she's on the activities list later on, like in the.
And the next, yeah, we'll get it.
It's later.
I thought you meant this
No.
extra duty contract,
No.
okay.
It took me 3 days to read.
Okay, so here's the box. Motion second, all in favor?
I
Motion carries. Next item is to approve the administrator negotiated agreement.
did you all have a chance to look at that? Okay,
Okay, we just need a motion to approve that.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Motion to approve the LDEA negotiated contract.
make that motion.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. The next one is the approve the confidential employee negotiated agreement.
Make a motion to approve the confidential negotiated agreement.
Second. Okay, motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Next one is approve classified employee negotiated agreement.
Make a motion to approve the classified employee negotiated agreement.
Second. Thanks, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. We are to the school board resolution for South Dakota High School. What was that? South Dakota
Activities Association.
Activities Association.
so you'll need to sign that. Basically, this is, something, like, it's just our membership to the High School Activities Association. Something we've done every year for over 100 years, so we should continue to.
Motion.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
I,
Motion carries. Next one is to look at the SDHSAA election ballot.
That is,
We have a lot of options.
yeah, East River at-large representative. I'll just read through the names. I don't know if you guys have read through them, but like, Dr. Tina Board, Assistant Principal, Aberdeen Central. This is for the East River at-large representative. To be filled by secondary principal or assistant principal. And yes, even though we're West River, we get to vote on the East River at-large. Okay. Shelby Edwards, secondary principal, Groton. Brittany Idy, secondary principal, Corsica Stickney. Tim Leibel, secondary principal, Hitchcock Tulare. Ryan Rollinger, secondary principal, Harrisburg. Now, there's only one in this list who has ever tackled a school shooter. Know who that is?
you Ryan?
Yeah, Harrisburg. So. I don't know, Zach, do you have a recommendation on those?
The lady, I did some classes with the lady from Corsica Stickney. I think she's
I would say-
a good choice. She's
Yeah,
been
Brittany's
involved
the,
in a lot of different things with the Activities Association. She'd be a good choice.
she's a good choice, or Ryan Rollinger, if you're looking for an opinion. Otherwise, it doesn't matter a lot to us, just, what you guys think.
I like Ryan personally. I like that he has the experience background and when he's, discusses, his own experience with coaching, repping, being image like this, that I got that would be a good fit personally.
Board members, do you wanna take a vote on it, or do you wanna just come to a consensus? And you can, if somebody wants to speak up for any others, you can too.
I'm pretty open.
It's gonna be a small part of our lives.
Really like strong.
I was to say it away. I hate to say it, I'd love to see someone from over here, but that never happens, so go for it. I mean,
Well, there are West River,
But
yeah,
we aren't. really
this has to be an East River.
We're never gonna deal with these schools, sure. I'm fine with whatever. Brian's fine. I mean, I don't have any issues. I don't have any issues with any of them, actually.
No, like I said, just reading through what he had to say, I liked, but I also like where you have experience working with the other gal.
Got to make a vote.
Brittany, let's say Brittany,
Brittany,
Brittany, I.
we got 2 for them and
You can draw straws.
I was gonna say,
I'm good with whichever one you choose.
I will make a motion, oh great, I'm on the wrong one. For Brittany,
all right. Motion to put down Brittany ID. Need a second.
Second.
All in favor? Motion carries. There you go. That's what we're doing. And what about the other? Backwards in the packet. There was another one.
Yep, the amendment ballot will be next, so you'll follow us.
Okay, so the next one is the amendment ballot. So I think they were just in here.
so are we not?
Okay, wait a minute, there are more, okay, we're third one, there's a whole stack of them here, so.
Billy was first.
Yeah.
So let's start with that one.
Well, and there's only small school group, Board of Education representative. There's one person here. Do we want to vote for the one, Billy Clanton from Harding County?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
good, all right. Okay, there's that. And then while you're signing this, okay, this is Division I representative be filled by athletic activity director. You got Jordan Bauer, Rapid City,
Yeah.
or Steve Moore, Sioux Falls, Roosevelt.
Rapid Cities, yep, on this side.
Yep, there you go.
Yep.
Okay.
Zach saying yes. Okay.
He runs
have to do a
all of
motion.
the state events when they're out
Yeah.
here.
Division 3 representative to be filled by a secondary principal, assistant principal. You got Chad Allison, Lennox High School, Jeff Sheehan, Hamlin High School. I guess I would, if you're looking for a recommendation, I would recommend Chad Allison. But it's up to you guys.
Sure, I'm gonna go with Zach shaking his head, yes.
Okay.
My son teaches at Lennox and he said Chad's pretty good dude, so
Okay. Super.
sing the really something.
I mean,
We try to get as close as possible to west.
Hey, I tried to get on that board last year and I got
I
defeated.
I show more.
Yeah,
That's the.
the amendment will be a separate item.
For this one before it goes long.
I'm gonna lose it. All right,
You want me to answer that?
amendment number 1. Pass a little here. Amend chapter 1, part 4, section 1, subsection D. Do you want to speak to these or do you want me to keep going?
Nope, you got it.
Actually, I'll just keep doing your
That
job.
track today.
Yeah, he's the only one. Okay, Scholastic academic eligibility rule, preceding semester, trimester, a student unless they are entering high school for the first time shall have successfully earned a minimum of 2 units of semester credit, 1 1/2 units of trimester credit, which are used in the issuance of a diploma for the preceding or for the most recent semester, trimester of attendance at any accredited high school for the purpose of this subsection. Enrollment and attendance in school. Participation in one or more contests shall constitute a semester, trimester in determining eligibility. However, the board of directors or the executive director shall have the authority to waive the attendance rule when and if a student withdraws from school as a result of an injury or illness and does not return to any school for the remainder of the semester, trimester, and the student does not receive any high school course credits.
I don't think you need to read the whole thing.
Okay,
I'm just saying, everybody got the packet?
do you want to vote yes or no on that
Yes.
amendment?
I think it would be better.
I just want to make sure that I'm understanding, based on this. Students who are not in our district, but want, or excuse me, are not going to school here, but want to participate in programs in our district. Do we, I know by statute, I went and I looked at it, that they're supposed to provide those transcripts to us. But what recourse do we have? I mean, are we actually requiring them? Here's my issue is with the way things are going with not having to provide proof for homeschooling purposes. I want to make sure that for those people that are participating in our athletics, that they're meeting those basic requirements of homeschooling. So based on what I read in statute is they're supposed to provide those transcripts. My question is do we have any enforceability with that?
I don't think we have any enforceability, but we do require those things for the students to be a part of our programs. I mean, I think if push came to shove, them wanting to be in, we kind of have to let them, but for the students we have that are homeschooled and participate, they do provide all the documentation needed and give weekly updates as well with their grades.
What it boils down to, basics, and we ask them to do that and they do it, but the way the law is, if there's no prescribed curriculum or anything, so if mom wants to write a transcript on a napkin and turn that in, we have no way of,
We have to accept it.
Right,
Yeah.
right,
it's just,
okay. That was my only issue, was kind of looking at that, and that's more probably on the second amendment, but since they both go, that sounded really weird, but anyway. The second amendment that's in our packet, but that was what clarification I wanted, it's just what requirements.
Well, the first one is related to 2 units and then 1 1/2 units. So with that, are you okay with voting yes on that change?
That's, yeah,
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Amber Deerson? Okay. There is that one. The next one is amendment number 2.
Okay, this one has to do with, middle school participation rule. Yeah, defining their, semesters and trimesters and in 7th and 8th grade. Okay. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah,
All right.
yes.
Now we're doing the yes. Okay. Amendment number 3. This one has to do with,
Sit out period.
yeah,
So basically, if they move schools, they have a certain time period to sit out. That's kind of how I read it, the quick and dirty of it.
Yeah, that's kind of a big thing going around right now, but would be a good procedure to put in place.
so are we,
So yes.
you guys a yes? Okay. All right, amendment number 4. To be eligible at the beginning of a semester, participant in school, students non-enrolled at the beginning of the semester shall become eligible on the 15th calendar day. Then there are some strike-throughs. So,
It just takes them longer. They have to wait a little longer before they can participate.
So you wouldn't just be able to change schools and join a team.
Yeah.
Just,
Yeah. Makes you think a little bit before you move around.
mhm.
15 days, they gotta practice a little bit.
so are we a yes
Yes.
on that? Yes. There. Okay,
Stay right away.
amendment number 5. Transferring from one high school to another must have the school, he, she leaves, file a transcript of credits with the principal of the school to which they're transferring. And then talks about guardianship. Change in section F notes, the sending schools must notify the receiving school of any ongoing or pending suspensions regarding the transfer student. Change in section H is clarifying language noting that all the criteria must be met for a transfer due to guardianship change to be legitimate.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
It gets sloppier if you go.
I'll lose this.
No, I'm not going to.
This time.
Okay,
Okay.
So we are canvass April 8th, 2025 school board election.
Okay, so, there were 2 3-year terms. Tim Mattson received 280 votes in Lead and 215 in Deadwood for a total of 500 votes. Robin Lucero received 270 votes in Lead and 217 in Deadwood for a total of 487. Amber Voigt received 316 votes in Lead, 219 in Deadwood for a total of 535. There were 553 votes cast in Lead and 126 in Deadwood for a total of 679. So the registered voters on April 8th was 5,036, 679 voted for a voter turnout of 13.48%. And Amber and Tim will be sworn in at the July annual board meeting.
congratulations, Amber.
Thanks.
We just need a motion to accept that canvas, right? Yep. So we need a motion to approve the canvas of the votes.
I make a motion to approve the canvas of the votes.
Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second, motion carried, or all in favor, I'm ahead of myself, all in favor, motion carries. All right, next one is the supplemental budget.
Okay, the supplemental budget consists of, we had a little bit of ESSER 3 learning loss and ESSER 3 general. And then the Title I, we got that grant like in August, and that was at the elementary, so we need to approve that. And then also there's the retention benefit and the longevity benefit. So in general fund, the total is 208,170.58. Total means of finance, there's a difference of like 1708. And that's to do with the ESSER money because we did indirect costs, but it doesn't have an expense associated with it. It's just the revenue. So that's why the difference in general fund. And then in capital outlay, that was all ESSER stuff, and the total appropriations was 35,181. And the means of finance was ESSER 3, learning loss in general. Nothing in special ed, and then in food service, the longevity benefit of 10,000.
Questions on that? If not, we would need a motion to approve the supplemental budget as presented.
I'll approve the supplemental budget.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item is the FY 2026 proposed budget.
Okay, do have a copy? But this. I won't go through all of this. I promise you can read some of this on your own, but I'll just hit the highlights of it. The proposed budget is from July 1st, 2025 through June 30th of 2026. And pages 1 through 5, the pages are on the right-hand side at the bottom. Pages 1 through 5 is the proposed budget. This is what will be published in the paper. The FY 26 budget includes the following funds: general fund, capital outlay, special ed, the Jensen Fund, the enterprise, and food service. That's pages 1 through 5. And then pages 6 through 10 is the revenue and the expenditure summary for the 3 major funds containing the tax levies. On page 6, you can see where taxes are applicable to the general, capital outlay, and the special ed. And then if you look on page 7, where it says balance assigned for next year's budget, in the general fund, the projections reflect that revenue will exceed the expenditures by 230,887. So these projections will result in the general fund balance growing by that amount. The projections for the capital outlay, the expenditures are exceeding revenue by 1,178,277. So these projections will result in the capital outlay fund balance decreasing by that amount. And then the projections for the special ed fund, they have expenditures exceeding the revenues by 177,877. And these projections will result in the special ed fund balance decreasing by that amount. Then on page 8, 9, and 10 are the expenditures for the general fund, the capital outlay, the special ed, and the Jensen Fund. Total expenditures for general fund are found on page 10. And then page 11 is basically a comparison using FY 24, 25, and 26. It's got the revenue and the expenditures, and then the highlighted at the bottom there is the fund balances. For FY 24, it's the actual fund balances in general fund, capital outlay, special ed, and the Jensen. And then in 25 and 26, it's using the budgeted amounts. So in the general fund, 2026 expenditures are 531,624 more than the 2025 budgeted expenditures, and 872,376 more than the 2024 actual expenditures. And I'm still on page 11.
Yep, sorry.
In the capital outlay fund, 2026 expenditures are 1,191,520 more than 2025 budgeted expenditures, and 2,321,800 more than the 2024 actual expenditures. In the special education fund, the 2026 expenditures are 252,053 more than the 2025 budgeted expenditures and 440,054 more than the actual 2024 actual expenditures in special ed. So then, like I said, page 11 is also a comparison of the 24 through 26 revenues and expenditures. In the general fund, the projected 26 revenues are 722,431 more than the 2025 budgeted revenues and 308,133 more than the actual 2024 actual revenue in the general fund. In the capital outlay budget, projected 26 revenues are 235,002 more than the 2025 budgeted revenues and 276,519 less than the actual 2024 revenues in capital outlay. In the special education fund, the projected revenues are 82,605 more than 2025 budgeted revenues and 103,098 more than 2025 actual revenue. And then on page 11, like I say, the fund balance for each fund is there. 2024 is actual, while 25 and 26 is based on the projected budgets. So page 13 through 15, we start with general fund. It consists of several years of the district's assessed valuation. And the most current shows an increase of 10.67% over 2023 valuation. The 2023 valuation was an increase of 22%. And then this year for taxes payable in 2026, 25 evaluation is an increase of 10,060 or 10%, almost 11%. The district's current assessed valuation is 2.2 billion. That's the 10.67% increase. So that's found on page 13, 14, and 15. On page 16, I just threw the TIF information in there. You can see the TIFs on the left-hand side and the total taxes lost due to the TIFs for the schools portion is 581,102. That's just for informational purposes. Okay, so page 17 in general fund shows the corresponding assessed values and the levies that the district is requesting in general fund. The FY 2026 levies are the same as 2025. You can see the valuations in the different classifications for 2024 valuations and 2025 valuations. The levy is the same. The possible dollars raised in property tax to finance FY 26 budget is the 5,577,101, and it's a difference of 540,855 more in property tax for FY 26 budget. So then if you turn to page 18, you can see what the difference between what the request is versus what the maximum levy is. The one in the blue, that maximum levy, that's the levy set by the legislators, but we're going to request less. So that's going to be a savings of 661,620 to the property tax owners.
And you're comfortable with that, you think? I mean, you don't see any reason that we need to increase that levy at this point?
Well, yeah, what I would comment on that is when we look at, as Margie and I talked, and she kind of asked, about numbers to plug in there, I said, with the growth and valuations, I said, let's look first at leaving the levies the same. And then that would grow in the general fund, that would grow our fund balance by kind of a modest amount, whatever, 170,000 or whatever, 177,000, whatever it is. So you would have room if you wanted to. I think that's a pretty nice cushion. I think it's not an irresponsible amount where you're just hoarding the taxpayers' money. But if you wanted to lower that a little bit, lower the levies just a little, we would have room to do that. That's a conversation we could have, but I guess.
But based off of this, you'd be comfortable going in to the budget cycle and you can pay all the bills and do all the stuff that we want to do, keeping it the same.
Because our fund balance is growing, yeah.
Value or, the utilities aren't in there yet, they're using that, so I think it might grow, you know,
Just a little bit
if
there.
the utilities increase.
And
Not a lot, I mean, not on that, $9 million budget, but.
And just to kind of like jog everybody's memory too, when we talked about doing the middle school project, we knew going into that our fund balance in capital outlay would take a little bit of a hit in this fiscal year, this upcoming fiscal year, but then there's projected growth, even with some decline in enrollment, there's projected growth in the following year, so that's gonna kind of, I mean, it's not getting dangerously low. We're gonna spend some of that down and then let it build up over the years after that, so. That's all kind of planned.
So like you say, in FY 26, the savings to the taxpayer by requesting, the lower levy is the 661, 620. And then the savings for FY 25, just in the general fund, we requested 1,158,684 less. 2 years, it's quite a bit of savings to the taxpayers. Page 19 through 21 is, the general fund, the 2025 budget, what we received through April of 2025, and then the 2026 budget, and then the change from the 25 budget to the proposed budget of 26. I won't go through that. You guys can just read that. Then we'll go to capital outlay budget. So page 22 to 30 details the capital outlay fund. In FY 2025, the district requested the maximum to balance the capital outlay fund, and you can find that on page 23. So in FY 25, the total was 2,474,305.60. We requested all of that. And then in FY 26, based on 637 students at the 3,869, we could request 2,467,570, but we're going to request 2.3 million in the capital outlay fund. The per student allocation for FY 26, like I said, is that 3,869. It was an increase of the 2.9%, which was the CPI. And then the enrollment for 25, the fiscal year 25 was 658, and then it decreased to 638 in 2026.
One thing I would point out to you too, again, like with that middle school remodel project, people, we told people, hey, we're not gonna raise taxes to do this, And so if you notice, we actually in capital outlay lowered our request. So the capital outlay taxes actually went down in the fiscal year that we're doing that. So.
So page 24 is just again, like the revenue, the budgeted revenue for 2025, what's received through April, and then the FY 26 budgeted revenue for the capital outlay. Page 25 to 30, you can go ahead and cruise through that on your own. That's just a detail of all the expenditures that make up the 3,734,930 of the capital outlay expenditure. Next, we'll go to the special education fund, and page 31 to 34 details the special education fund. And then due to increased valuations the past 3 years, the district has not requested the maximum mill levy in the special education fund. FY 24, the adopted budget saved the taxpayers $597,000. This fiscal year, 2025, we requested 1,300,549 less. And then in FY 26, the savings to the taxpayers is 159,547 by not requesting the maximum levy as shown on page 32.
Just a quick question, no concerns with house paper safe.
No, I
We need to.
I talked to Mr. Beagle about that. Our fund balance is healthy.
Okay,
And even though we are gonna use some of our fund balance, I mean, it's still up there. We can't go to the extraordinary cost fund if we would have, something, but 700,000, that's
Yeah,
a
we're
healthy
sitting pretty
fund
good.
balance, so,
okay.
no, I have no
So,
concerns at all. I talked to
comfortable
Mr.
with keeping
Beagle
it
and
over?
he was fine with that as well.
Thank you.
The Mary Jensen estate is found on page 35 to 37. And basically, this fund is a business class at the high school. We had a former graduate, Mary Jensen. She gifted the district quite a bit of money, and the business class was started with that. So a transfer is done at the end of the fiscal year to move the expenditures incurred in general fund. That's Amy Todd's salary, benefits, supplies. And then in capital outlay, it's her equipment. There's nothing budgeted in capital outlay this year. And then the digger depot sales for FY 23 were 20,727. That was the first year. And then in FY 24, it was 39,095. And then this year so far through April 30th, the digger depot sales are 30,850.
Overall, so, I mean, for what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not gonna be, it's a business class, but it's not a profitable business. Most businesses aren't. To be honest.
Then on page 37, the expenditures from FY 23 up into 26 are there. You can review those. And then our last fund is our food service fund. The food service program has seen lower participation in the last 3 years. When the meals were free, everyone was participating. The projections for the 2026 show revenues down by 54,419 from 2025. The projections for the 26 expenditures show a decrease of 8,239 from 2025 budget. Some of that is the supply chain revenue that we got. It was a grant. So that's out of there now. So there's no expense for that and there's no revenue for that as well. That federal allocation is gone. So the transfer from general fund for FY 26 is 240,713. That is needed to balance the food service budget. Last year it was like 210, so that is up a little bit from FY 25.
And I would still want to continue to see that grow. I mean,
The problem with it is our federal reimbursement. We get less for a paid, and we're assuming more paid than we are free. You get more of a reimbursement for the free and reduced, and our free and reduced numbers just aren't what they used to be. So our paid is exceeding for those other two. So our federal reimbursement is down as well.
And the cost of food just keeps going up.
And the cost of food goes up, and salaries and benefits and, cost to maintain the equipment and everything, so.
It is concerning. I'll be straightforward with you on that, but we don't have a ready answer. Like, you've heard me say a lot of times, it's very common for school districts to supplement their food service with the general fund. To this level, I don't know, like, we're hoping to get a handle on it, but it's a puzzle.
I think every year we've had a conversation over school lunch.
It's unfortunate, but I mean, I don't.
well, I don't think we overspend on anything and we don't underspend. I mean, it's a needed thing.
There's this actually isn't an action item, it's just a review.
Yeah.
We'll adopt the
We'll have
budget.
time to look at this now, the next meeting, if we have questions, we can have you.
Sure.
Dr. Pearson. Yeah.
And we'll adopt it in July. That's it.
Oh, yeah.
So we can ruminate
You're
for
welcome.
2 months.
Yes. Okay, I think we talked about this last one was moving, or no, when you're in your memo, I guess, moving the July board meeting from the 8th to the 15th, just with the holiday in there, kind of messes with getting everything dealt with that needs to. And then you had said something about a special board meeting, I don't see that.
July 1st, yeah, and we don't necessarily need a motion for that. We can just, we just need to publish it and, yeah, that's July 1st. And that'll be to approve bids.
What time is that meeting on Jennifer?
Did we have a time, Bill? I don't,
We didn't have a time.
we didn't have a time. We could, we'll advertise whatever time you guys want. How about that? What works for you, 5:30?
Whatever. time.
Tuesday, no?
Never happens. So I can do pretty much whatever.
What works for you guys? What time, when do you get off work?
5:30.
I would prefer to just be consistent with 5:30.
Excellent. And that's something that like probably some of our administrators in the room are like, do I have to be there?
And then moving it from the 8th to the 15th, we do need a motion on that.
Yes.
Correct.
You're moving your regular schedule.
So I need a motion to move that.
I'll make a motion to move the board meeting from July 8th to July 15th, 2025.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay. Next item is physical therapy contract with Katie Johnson.
Jay's not here to speak to it. I think we're pleased with,
This is the same
Yeah.
one we had before, right?
Yep.
Nothing.
so
Okay.
it's just renewing.
Make a motion to approve the physical therapy contract with Katie Johnson. Second.
We have a motion and a second. A motion and a second, all in favor?
I was gonna say, I guess at this point it doesn't matter, but I'm not sure I'm comfortable with us approving a contract without seeing what the terms of that contract are.
It's right here. It's in here.
Oh, it's in there.
It's in the packet.
I didn't get that. Did I look for the
That's
wrong
all.
one?
On page 97,
98, let me go look and see where I missed it.
Yeah, the contract's in there and it looks like it's similar to last year's.
It's in the 2000 page con.
I didn't really see anything that was glaringly different. Did you?
I think it's the same.
No.
I apologize, I didn't see it.
So motion, there was a motion and a second and it carried.
Do you want to look at this?
You can look at it, but we did have a motion and a second. And we went.
I'm not gonna.
Yeah, you're fine. You can read through it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm
So
not
we're gonna move on to the next item, approved. Yeah. Yeah, we took a vote. I said all in favor. I said
And I was
motion
like,
carried. Yep.
Okay.
So the next item is approved 25-26 acceptable use.
Any comments
Policy on
on
the
that?
technology acceptable use.
No, no comments. It's pretty much the same as last year, so.
I'll make a motion to approve that 2025-26 acceptable use policy.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
I
Motion carries. Next item is the surplus list.
I think this is the first time we've seen it, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so that should not be an action item. That's,
Okay.
it's
It's
just a review.
It was a
Yeah.
very descriptive surplus.
There's not a piano on there.
Nope, no pianos. It was.
Well, we kind of learned from that. Like, that's why we review it 1 month, let it sit, and don't,
I mean, I
don't
don't
act
know
on
what
it.
the rollout bench is, but other than that.
So we don't need any action.
No, okay. Next one is the creation of an archery club account.
We have an archery club. Apparently, they don't have a club account, a TNA account. I don't know if Margie wants to speak to it anymore, but they're going to competitions and so forth, and it's it would be a lot cleaner if they could
Have them.
run their funds and their fundraising through the district.
Yeah, this is in the packet. Basically, he's getting a lot of donations for nationals for travel expenses, so, so we just need to get this
So
approved
we're
by the
just being
board.
consistent with our other club accounts, just
Yep.
so that it's the
Yep.
same process.
Yep, he knows the rules and everything, so,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, no. So we just need approval to create that archery club account.
I'll approve the creation of an archery club account.
Second. So motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. We have one open enrollment request, I believe.
Make a motion to approve the open enrollment.
Back to that motion. Okay, motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. You want to give me the? Everybody's. Jody, did you have them? Did you already hand them? Perfect. Thank you. The next item, we're looking at, I'm gonna kind of talk about R, S, T, and U kind of all together just for purposes, and then we'll go through each one individually. The handbooks are being reviewed tonight. Keep in mind, these handbooks are not for us to go through and pick through. We kind of have always allowed our administrators to present us what they think is the best option. And then we usually look at them. If there's like a spelling error or something that you see, obviously we want to try to catch those. You can just let them know and they can update those if need be. But for the most part, I think we try to let them have, you know, they know their schools and they know kind of what they're doing. So that's kind of where we're at, but we'll look at each one individually for motion, correct?
Well, they're just first readings.
Oh, the first reading, sorry, their first readings,
Over here.
so they'll go to the next meeting, we won't make motions tonight. So the first one was the high school student handbook. Are you talking, do you want?
No,
Do you
these
have
guys are
anything
gonna,
really?
they're gonna address,
Okay.
if there, just basically, if you guys have any questions,
Yeah.
and if there's something that you think needs, it's gonna need a lot of discussion, you know, maybe like, just use your judgment if you want to handle it here, or if you want to talk to that administrator individually, but real quick, as we go through these, like Amber kind of said, there's a little bit of autonomy in each building for them to have a handbook that fits their building. Now, we've had discussions in the past, and we probably do need to do a better job of looking at it earlier and maybe certain things being more consistent language between the buildings, because we're one district. But also, it's kind of a thing where the building principal has that autonomy that this is how I'm running my building, some things are unique to this building, that kind of. So, if you have questions, now would be a good time to ask them, otherwise, whatever.
So the first one's the activity handbook. Was there anything that you want to share, that you want to pull out of there, or you?
I would say that the biggest change for me is our weekly eligibility. So I changed the wording from Friday to the last day of the school week. When we don't have school on Fridays, then it would allow us to pull grades on Thursdays and use that for our weekly eligibility. So other than that, they were minor differences.
And I think this is the one where usually, like, as the year progresses, if there's changes in coaches or whatever, it'll just get updated automatically. So,
I did some of the updating for what we have too in there, so.
is there anything else on that document?
The only thing I had was, I just didn't know if you wanted to switch a couple of words around, because you said we do want to talk about that, right?
I think if it's just wording, if you can do it now, or you can just send an email to Zach and say, hey, just had a question on this.
Okay.
If you want to, either way, it's a quick one.
It's a really quick one. It's just on page 3, you have transportation activity approval. I'm wondering if it should be activity transportation, because it reads awkwardly. Does that make sense? Because I assume this is
Yeah.
a permission for them to be transported for the purpose of activities, not a transportation activity itself.
The only thing that I changed was it used to say activities and it said activity, because when they fill out that request, it's for one thing at a time. But yeah, I can switch that if that is something you guys like.
Okay. So if nothing else in that one, we can just, you know, you can read it if there's other things that
I
come up.
thought like. a
You
lot
could
of
go
these
ahead and switch it, or you can ask them to look at it. So the next one would be the high school student handbook.
No changes.
No changes.
I
I
left
saw
it-
you sent just a real quick explanation.
Yeah, so as student council comes in, we'll update those. One thing that, I know Lexi, we visited a little bit about it, but, I brought this up about 4 or 5 years ago and I got told to not to touch it with a 10-foot pole. But I think with, our new school song banner in gym 1, I think it's worth discussing briefly, updating our school song, not the foundation of the song, not changing the song, but changing Old Lehigh to Lead-Deadwood and changing maroon and white to maroon and gold.
Yep.
That's just my
Yeah.
personal opinion. I know I'm a short timer here, but I think that that's something that as we continue to bridge the gap between the merge that's been for the last 50 years, it's time that we update those 3 words in our song.
We did update them
We did on the banner.
on the banner. Yeah.
So there you go. Had we not had this conversation in front of the Black Hills Pioneer, nobody would know the difference.
But it's in the.
Just make it so, yeah, make it so, and then we'll.
Yeah. I will make that change and be ready for the
Perfect.
It's
second.
in the elementary
And
handbook
it's in the
too.
elementary handbook.
Yeah,
Anywhere
every
that
handbook
the-
has a school song.
We'll make it simple. Anywhere that the school song is, just make it match the banner that's in the gym. I don't think we need to have a huge discussion on it. I know some of the community may not like it, but we're not here to,
It's time.
let's go forward. Yep,
They should all learn
I'm good with
that
it.
we're all united together as one.
Okay, anything else in the high school handbook?
Nope.
Perfect. Middle school handbook, next.
Jay is sick,
Jay is sick.
so
Was there, I don't think there was really much. It didn't look like it.
if you have something for the
So
middle
if
school
there's
handbook,
anything,
reach out to Jay.
That's Jay. That would be fine. Elementary student handbook, Mr. Van River.
Well, we did a complete overhaul. There's a lot of red.
Yeah.
I had our guiding coalition, our leadership committee, go through it with a fine tooth comb. We found so many outdated policies and things that do not apply. And some of it was cleaning up the language, some of it was matching it to the PBIS expectations for the behaviors and common area expectations. We're also adding a section about the technology use. Jamie put that together. I'm not sure that I got that completely in there. It sent me separate. This is very similar to what the high school does. It's geared toward elementary because we've had some intentional damage to some laptops. We just want to make parents aware that, hey, it still applies to elementary. So yeah, we worked on this for a while as a leadership committee, and some of it is just things that we took out that were just redundant, like it was in there multiple times. Just to kind of clean it up. Again, I'm gonna have to there's one section. The discipline matrix. Again, the PBIS committee was asking to look at that this summer in their summer work, just to make sure the language is consistent between PBIS and some of the things that we use for discipline matrix, because it was a little bit outdated, so we didn't get a chance to get that done. But yeah, we wanted to clean it up, make it more concise. There's some grammar things in there. There's a lot of things that are crossed out, but have been replaced with something else, just reworded. So yeah, I'd be happy to talk to you individually if there's anything. Like I said, we kind of, we took it apart like a jigsaw puzzle and split it up into some subgroups, and then we got back together as a whole and I put it back together. So it was severely outdated.
Dan, could you just give us like the makeup of your guiding coalition? You don't have to name names, but like,
Absolutely.
what is that? How many people? Who is
So
it?
that's my leadership team. It's like grade level team representatives. So I have of course, like a K1 representative, a 2-3 representative, a 4-5 representative, meaning grade levels, special education representative, We also have a specialist representation, so trying to represent the different subgroups in the building. So the main purpose of that is to gather information and to be the communication, when we get together and discuss things like we're gonna work this summer to work on like the schedule, for example, and the extra duty coverage. So they kind of bring ideas from the team on how we can make things better.
So if there's other changes after we approve, like next time, let's say there's some stuff that they work on this summer, they can do an amendment, couldn't they? If there was some stuff that came up, okay.
Okay, thank you.
So again, if you have questions, there's a lot to read in that handbook specifically. You can go ahead and read out. I appreciate the immense amount of time done because it was needed, and so that's good.
Yeah. Thank you.
1-to-1 handbook, first reading.
No real changes aside from dates and a few periods that might have been missed before.
Again, first reading, so review it. If you have questions, you can talk to Jamie. Wellness, a policy AE for wellness.
Darcy, would you mind speaking to that a little bit? And you don't have to go into a lot of depth, but just kind of tell them what it is, why it is.
Well, actually, would you mind just kind of introducing why we needed to relook at the wellness policy? Because actually, we really did just update the wellness policy, I think October of, yeah. So,
So we had our administrative review for food service 5 years ago, and we did really, really well on it, except for the wellness policy they did not like. So, Darcy kind of took it under her wing and, held meetings. I got policies from other school districts who have had their review and it passed, such as, Meade School District, Imore, so I think she kind of developed some of their stuff, and so it's all about smart snacks. I mean, that's what we have to serve while school's in session. Even the school store, the Digger Depot, I mean, they have to comply with that. Our vending machines, our pot machines, you can only have this many ounces in middle school. So like I say, we need to comply with all that because we are having a review this fall. It was supposed to be this school year, but, with the COVID. Anyway, it got pushed back to next year. So that's how the conversation started, because we need to update it.
So it's more of a almost
So
compliant.
had that been edited already? Because it said in there, you'd serve smart snacks. It said something about serving healthy snacks.
This one is the stuff that's in here is.
Yeah, okay.
It didn't really meet the requirement, right? Margie, of
What's
what the audit requirement of what's required in a
Yeah,
policy.
yeah.
It wasn't meeting that,
Yeah.
pretty much.
So the new document in
Yes.
here is the new.
That's the edited.
yes,
Correct,
so the
correct, okay.
state has a model policy that has required things that have to be in the policy in order for us to pass. And so we had the model policy, and then we had some examples of policies from other schools in the state that had passed, and we kind of looked at those. We tried to keep it as simple as possible because we know that we're a unique district and we have things that we're trying to do here. We're trying to keep our kids fed in the district, in school as much as possible. Lots of different things going on. So we wanted it as simple as possible, and we wanted to meet the requirements. So that's what we tried to do.
So it is a first reading. It'll be on the agenda next time. So if you have anything that comes up, you can sure ask Darcy questions. Thank you. All right, so it looks like we have 4 thank yous in our correspondence. One from Mr. Lynn, one from the high school staff, one from Lisa Ranafa, and one from Tom Credit. Gary's was about retirement.
These cards are.
Looks like mostly retirements and. We are on to administrator reports, starting from Dr. Kirsten, please.
Okay, I don't have a lot here, but just real quick, we talked about having that special board meeting, July 1st. So with the middle school project, we're gonna have the 96% page turn meeting on Friday, and I understand that, I think Robin said you maybe won't be able to make it. Is that correct? Or did you, or no, that was, never mind. I'm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It got moved to 7:30.
yeah, we were the ones who had the
Yes,
conflict,
I had-
yes.
We have.
Yeah, class day, so I think Robin and Amber will be in there as well as, our administrators kind of on the leadership team with that. And that's where they're gonna go through the construction documents, kind of page by page. Big overview of that, making sure that we're ready to put things out for bid. Am I missing anything on that, Bill?
No,
So,
I added a security portion to that, to the end of that, just in case that meeting goes over. You guys don't necessarily have to be there for that, still make class day, so.
Okay. And I did notice she sent it in her update. So Robin, if you want to look at it before Friday, click on the thing and then it's attached in the bottom. I found it, right? But it is there if you want to kind of see what they sent. It did come through today.
oh, the
The
documents.
documents, but it's attached within her email or her invite.
Okay, got it. And then some requirements are changing with this past legislative session. Just so you guys know, like Amber and I have been kind of in conversation about that, and I've made a note to Mary, to put it on the July agenda. But we're gonna be required once a year to review the open meeting laws. And kind of just go through, basically an overview of what it is and what it means. And then we have to have it in our minutes that we've done that review annually. And so we'll just add it to the July agenda for years. So those are the things I have.
Okay. Mr. Van River Elementary School update.
Okay, I've been told I talk too long, so I'm gonna go quick. All right, and I always like to start with the enrollment. We're at 243 end of the year with 243, so I look back on the September meeting, that's 3 more elementary enrollment from the beginning of the year. We're down 1 if we include early childhood, so. Hiring update, have an offer out to a kindergarten teacher. We had interviews this week, that went really well. Waiting to hear back. Now secretary and ACE room, para still to hire. So hopefully we'll get that rolling here soon. Just quickly with the new hires that we've had in the elementary, we will have 4 sections of kindergarten, 1st, 3rd, and 4th grades for next year. So that's up a couple.
You mean 3?
Yeah, 3 sections. Yeah.
Wow.
I meant 4 grade levels, 3 sections now instead of 2. So, sorry, I didn't mean to
Maybe we
freak
need to
out.
talk, Dan.
I hired a lot more. 4 grade levels will have 3 sections next year. That's up from 2 grade levels having 3 sections. Numbers are hard. Okay.
That just blew Margie's budget.
Yeah, we don't have any room for 4 sections.
One said it was okay.
Let's see, since the last update, spring music concert, we packed the house again in the high school auditorium. That was fantastic. Looked like to be well over 500 people in there. That went very well. Kids had a blast performing. 3rd grade, since our last update they kind of taken on a new thing. Like 5th grade has famous faces, which by the way went very well this year. My son was a part of that. They spent several weeks researching, writing reports, getting costumes and presenting in front of their classmates and parents and judges. And 3rd grade then did something similar, but more of a wax museum style for presidents. That was really cool. You push the proverbial button and then they come alive and they talk. So that was really neat. We had, again, our famous faces. We had our spelling bee that just went down grades 1 through 5. That went, was very well organized. Vina Flores was the one that secured a lot of the donations, and the kids got some very good prizes. Lots of positive feedback from staff, students, and parents. Friday, we had our 100th anniversary fundraiser concert. Nina McIntyre performed. We had, that's it, Naval Cleveland's Jack Spratt original recipe from, the beginning of the building. We had that for, our food. We had a silent auction. We raised a little over $2,500 in that event. But we have more donations coming in, and a projection that I got could be as much as 4,000 from that event. So that's pretty exciting stuff. It was a lot of fun, and we got a lot of great feedback from that. And then field trips. It's field trip season. Kids are all over the place, anywhere from Old McDonald's Farm to Mount Rushmore, the local museums in Lead-Deadwood. Like, they're having a blast right now, celebrating their learning from the year. So,
Pretty good.
any questions? Was that short?
That was, good job.
Okay.
It was a really cool event.
Yeah,
Went Friday night.
and that Nina McIntyre was amazing.
We needed to do something else like that, like as a school, it'd be a great school fundraiser to actually make a full-on concert. And if she would come back and do it, it was really, really good.
Maybe we could do it in that open container.
We should.
Dueling pins.
It was really fun, but no, it was a fun event. There was about 100 people
The piano.
In the
was
concert,
amazing.
yeah.
in the room. It was good.
Yeah.
So, okay, next one. Well, there is no middle school update, right? Unless there's something you have, no?
Did Jay give it to anybody?
Anybody? No? Okay. High school update, Mr. Jacobs?
Hiring update, obviously saw we were fortunate to get a social studies teacher in quick turnaround. Excited about that. We're still searching for the elusive English teacher, but we're working on some plans, alternative plans if that doesn't happen. And, you know, looking at our enrollment, looking at our sections, I don't think it's going to be too big of a deal for us to shuffle a couple things around, and we'll get that figured out. So working with Jay and Yolanda, and working with Rhonda, finalizing our master schedules, getting those ready to go. We had our CTE open house, spring open house last week. We decided that it is best to do one instead of two going forward. Just kind of got worn out in the springtime. There's so many other things going on. It's hard and people are torn. But the kids put in a lot of hard work. They had a lot of great things they created from the 8th grade business class on. It was really neat to see. So we have obviously graduation and class day coming up. Our seniors finished up today. Got a few more laptops and things to track down from some individuals, but everything went pretty smoothly. Tomorrow we'll go down to the elementary first thing in the morning, and they'll get to do their senior parade in their cap and gowns and give some high fives to the little guys and see some of their old teachers. And it's always a fun time. We'll come back up, do their handprints on the wall up on 3rd floor, and we'll do graduation and practice and feed them some lunch and get them out the door. And we got baccalaureate will also be tomorrow night. Hoping to get a good turnout. That'll be in gym 2. That went a lot better in gym 2 last year. A little bit more, just closer interactions, which I thought was good. So the ministerial services is excited about coming back and partnering with the school again to do that. And yeah, graduation 2:00 on Sunday. Be there, be square. It's going to be fun. So we can celebrate all of our seniors and their hard work over the last 4 years. And we're excited to see them walk across that stage.
Okay. Thank you. So we have our student representative report.
With academics, Smarter Balance took place, and Mia Marie Gifford and Zach White both received all 4s in every category there, so that's really nice. At math contest, Carl Williams got 3rd in geometry, and Travis Pierce placed 4th in algebra 2. It's pretty competitive, so it's really cool to see kids placing that. NHS had the highest number of inductees that Ms. Campbell has ever had this year, so they had to move that to a bigger room. So it was really cool to see all that. And then, of course, semester testing next week. And then large group was on April 30th, and choir performed 2 songs. And they got superior scores of 31, 33, and 33 out of 35. Band performed 3 songs. and they had an average score of 2.5 out of 3. Choir had their Pops concert on the 28th. And that's usually like the community favorite, so a lot of people showed up, and that was the case, of course, this year. And they performed really well. The seniors had solos that they had the opportunity to perform, and they all did great, in my opinion. I'm a little biased. Band had their spring concert on the 5th. Their focus of that concert was to do storytelling through music. They were really great. They had multiple small groups and soloists also perform. The spring play had their school performance, and the students really seemed to enjoy it. They engaged a lot, and that was kind of the goal of the whole play, so that's really nice. For events, prom went really great. I've heard a lot of students say that they really liked the move from the opera house to the gym. They said the decorations worked better, and the dance was a lot like bigger, like there's more room and stuff. So that was a really positive move. And then for royalty, for boys, there was Eric Costers, Bowen, Ben Wichterman, James Burke, and Jonas Runge was crowned king. For girls, there was Briar Rose, Emily Farmer, Taylor Hanson, Delaney Matson, and Piper Rogers was crowned queen. For track, or for sports, in track, Micaiah Black broke the school record for the 200 meter. And then Cruz Molman tied with the current school pole vault record. And then students have also shown a lot of progress in their PRs, and many have been placing in their meets. I think there's quite a few that are looking at state already, so that'll be a lot of fun. That's all I got.
Thank you very much. All right. Garrett.
Sure, all right. Thank you. I'll try not to talk too long either. Dan, you let me know if I do, okay?
I'll tell you.
All right. So we'll start with the good stuff. You guys have a little bit here of our community highlights. This little, just quarterly, newsletter Bonnie kind of put out. Some things I just wanted to highlight are at top left, our work-based learning site. Something we've worked really hard to grow over the last year and a half is a work-based learning program where our graduates, typically towards the end of their time with us, get out, get a chance to work in a job that's related to what they've been training in. We partner with a lot of different community businesses to do that. The students get paid a competitive wage, whatever somebody in that job would get paid. But it costs the business nothing, gives them a chance to build some job skills. Really importantly, gives them a chance to save some money so that they can, move out, get a car, hopefully get an apartment, that kind of stuff, and end up on their feet as they transition out of the program. And then for the students that live in the area, most of the time those jobs are able to transition into full-time employment for them, so they leave a job and they're ready to go. Other things, we got some students there that participated in the, I think the Mardi Gras competition. That's kind of an annual thing. They love that. They generally do pretty good. Flip it over there, Lawrence County, Public Safety and Services, our painters went up there. Did some community volunteering there. I think they did all the demarcation lines on the floor from that building. We also, as a work-based learning site, had a culinary arts student who just graduated. He started up there working as a part-time cook as a work-based learning site. They ended up needing some help as a CO also, so he started doing that, and I think now he's hired on as a CO doing a little bit of cooking on the side. But so that worked out great. Transitioned right into that. Just other stuff. Got out, did some snowshoeing. We've had some great after-school clubs. A Native American Drum Club. We had some students that wanted to get that started. We had to find some funding to buy a drum. They've been singing flag song at our graduation ceremonies and some honor songs at our graduation ceremonies. So that's been a great addition. Sewing club, which you'd be amazed how many people show up to a sewing club. I mean, they love it. They really do. So that's been wonderful. A lot of fun, kind of a lost art actually. So that's been really neat. And then we just hosted our annual guard camp school, and that's a firefighter training school. We had about 30 students that ended up going through that. Got certified with the training they needed to be a type 2 wildland firefighter on a hand crew. And we just had about 15 of those students get through, do their PAC tests, so they can, they're actually certified now to go out and participate in firefighting. And we just sent our first crew out down to New Mexico, I think, last week. So that's awesome. That's some of the fun stuff that's been going on there. Local stuff, I guess, and I guess at the national stage, there's kind of some stuff too. Before I get too far into that, I should probably say that I am a federal employee and here in official capacity, and I'm not trying to advance any political agendas one way or the other, but we have a partnership with the district. So to just kind of keep you guys abreast of what's going on nationally. You probably don't Google Job Corps as much as I do, but if you did, you'd see kind of the last month or so, there's been some things. First thing was that there was a Job Corps transparency report that came out. That looked back at a 2023 fiscal year, which is the most recent fully reported one. That accurate reporting, but you know, what it kind of showed was that what the costs were per graduate and per center, and what the graduation rates were. They didn't provide any context for it. It was just a numerical report. There's been a lot of news agencies that probably have tried to provide some context. It generally has not been very favorable. It's an expensive program. The per cost allocation per student is expensive. They live there, they receive basic medical care, food, you know, all that kind of stuff. It's expensive. And the graduation rate settled out somewhere around 30%. You can look at that as saying it's a low percentage rate. I guess the way I look at it is most of the students we have were dropouts before they got there. So we're going from 0% to 30%. I'd call that a win personally. And as far as the cost of the program goes, I guess if you look back, there's a 2018 study that was published. It's a 20-year look back at Job Corps from that point. And their conclusion over that 20-year time span was that not only does the investment pay back, but usually pays back at a rate of 2 to 3 times what's invested. And they looked at you know, a lifetime of taxpayer differences and what they're paying into income tax. They looked at reduced use of social services. And so that report would say that the investment is a good investment, regardless of the cost. So if you have any questions about either of those, let me know. I'm glad to point to anybody to, you know, those reports, and you can review them for yourselves. Like I said, I'll let the numbers speak for themselves. And then shortly after that transparency report came out, presidential budget recommendations came out. I think there's no secret there. There's a lot of recommendations for reducing budgets. The Department of Labor specifically, they looked at around, it's a little under 30%, I think, reduction. In there, they named 2 programs that they believe should be defunded. One was a seniors job program. The other is Job Corps. So under the current presidential budget recommendations, Job Corps will not be funded in the upcoming fiscal year. In a lot of years, there's a, you know, presidential budget is kind of a recommendation. This year's a little bit different. There's not gonna be quite the back and forth. It looks like it's got to go through a little bit different process, the reconciliation process, and it's going to be grouped with the tax bill. So I don't know that we're going to get that opportunity for that back and forth in Congress that would maybe afford us a chance to move forward. So the way things look, pretty substantial chance the Job Corps will not be funded in the next fiscal year, which would end the program. Our fiscal year, the way it works, we're July to June 30. So starting this July 1, we're funded because we're funded from the previous year's budget allocation. So we're currently funded from July 1 this year through June 30 of 26. And anything beyond that will depend on what comes out of the budget this year. So we'll see. That's all I got.
Hopefully something comes around.
Would it be helpful to get a hold of our US representatives?
Yes, you know, and I'll leave it to you, however way you want to do it. Each person can speak their heart to it. Probably the best way to go is if you have an opinion on it, to take that to your representatives in the House and the Senate. So, yep.
Yeah, I understand Derek's position. You know, he's a federal employee. He really can't lobby here. I guess, I don't know, I'm caught a little flat-footed on that. I don't know if I should,
Could we maybe look
Yeah.
into it? Because I mean, since we know that obviously we have a year, but I think maybe we could look into it for the July meeting and just add maybe a discussion onto that, or maybe that would give us a little bit of time to look at.
Sure.
But I'm gonna bet we're not the only school district that's looking at something like this. I mean, we
Right, it is a little unique
It's
like this.
different here than other places.
There are not a lot of local partnerships.
Yeah.
You know, there certainly exists, but it's not the primary method through which we,
Yeah, or
A lot of that
the
level.
job course, for example, in South Dakota.
no,
No, I mean, like regionally, you're one of the few.
North Dakota, one, Nebraska, one. So, Yeah, it's
These
not a
are
lot.
on a lot of people's radars.
no, I mean, we went through this, I will say, 2018, we went through this. They tried to privatize the federal job course, which would have just been closing the federal job course. So the Forest Service one's like the one that I work at. Got right down to the wire on it. Congress took action and stopped that, and I would say that was largely because of public outcry. So that's just looking back at the past. It's not quite the same situation this time around.
Right.
That was just a singular thing. This is a bigger thing.
Kind of just, yeah, whatever. There's a story for you to do, go out to the job board.
Okay, well,
I
thank
was-
you.
Nina was gonna say something very nice, and I feel like you probably need something to make you feel better. So I was gonna say that Amber and I were at a function a couple of weeks ago where, it was your culinary arts students who did all of the meal preparation
Yeah,
for it, and it was incredible.
Mhm.
Absolutely incredible, and the kids were great.
And I'll pass that on to them. They'll appreciate it.
They were amazing.
Yeah, it's crazy when you're at an event or you interact with those kids. It's like they're very, I mean, and yeah, like you said, I kind of characterize it as it's a school full of dropouts. That was their path, or that's where they were at when they came there. And those kids are so proud of their trade that they've learned and the future plans they have, and they're so proud of getting that high school diploma. And it's, yeah, I wish more people could see that.
And they're so polite, and when they come in here, they're so proud. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
What I love about them, when they come in here and tell us their stories.
Thank you very much.
Okay. All right, thank you guys. So the next item is public forum. We did not have any forms turned in for public forum stuff today. So with that, next meeting is Tuesday, June 10th at 5:30 in this room. We need to have a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Okay.
Okay, motion with second, all in favor? All right, thank you.